Now this book is called A Call at Dawn, and I once lived next door, sort of. I was in a trailer park that was next door to a house where a man lived named Kelvin Rowe. I never really got to know him because after I learned of him, I went to visit, and he was in the final days of having cancer, and he died of cancer, and I never really got to talk to him. Wish I had known him before that he got that bad, because I would have really picked his brain for all that he knew. This man actually knew our space brothers from the planets Jupiter and Pluto, and he talked about that in this book called A Call at Dawn. I'm just going to read you a little bit of what he has to say and leave into the description bar this book being read by me, the entire thing. Anyway, he writes, I am aware that beings of other planets are clear out of our realm of limited thinking, that it is for most of us, which means it is difficult to accept them or their words of wisdom. But they are amongst us, in the fields of science, in government circles, in all walks of life, quietly guiding those few willing to make this a better world. Unbeknown to men of earth, they have, in the past several years, rendered indispensable services in many ways, without which we undoubtedly would not be here today. They know that in the beginning, mankind did not learn his lesson, and since has denied the things of spirit, failing to serve his Creator, and instead, consciously or unconsciously, trying to be a creator without knowing the power he is exercising. They stress that we do not understand the nature of the Creator, and that we lack this understanding because of the shackles of tradition and belief, which we must cast off and in place establish spiritual freedom. It is most important that we become aware of the godlike potentials within ourselves. Man walking in darkness needs guidance and counsel through the time of trouble. The tremendous upheaval and disorder is fast approaching, in which man will be hopeless in his own power. The Bible tells us Satan will be loosed for a little while before being bound. In a short while he will be loosed upon the face of the earth, and great calamities will befall man that will bring him to the point where no longer will the material have value to him. Already the dark forces of the Antichrist are being marshaled against the forces of the Prince of Light. Turn not your back upon this day, but take your rightful place, having absolute faith. There is a plan which will raise man out of his limitations. And fear not, for the forces of light will triumph over the forces of darkness. We are entering the final days before the emergence of the world's Savior, when the Christ consciousness comes in the flesh to the entire world. Only when all people in the world are brought into oneness of purpose will the Christ kingdom manifest in the world, and mankind know the beauty of peace and brotherhood. Yes, dear reader, I know it seems very hard that mankind must pass through chaos, yet we must remember that God gave man the power to manifest that which he wishes, and so he was not compelled to do it, but did so by his own actions. And today he reaps his harvest. He feels the effects of his own causes. Throughout the long ages, man as a mass has futilely struggled against the force of negation. But passing along the road of darkness, he enters that path from which he sprang. At last, the victory he has longed for is at hand, and an ordered, peaceful world lies ahead. So there's a lot in this book. He talks about the 7 rays, which symbolize the 7 days in which God created the worlds and represents the 7 cycles or ages a planet passes through before attaining perfection. And he talks about going aboard a spacecraft. It was a scout ship, and many, many other things. And here's one part right here. The whole human body is a magnet inasmuch as it has two polarities, and every person possesses magnetism in either latent or active state. The magnetic force of each person vibrates in a certain octave or vibration, and it is upon this magnetic force that telepathic thought is conveyed when directed by the will to the person you are directing it to. Thought is of high electrical content, and the sender and receiver must be attuned to the same mental vibratory wavelength. For harmony and attunement of minds is the first requisite for mental communication from one brain to another. The human will is the director of the magnetic current. The magnetic current is the carrier of thought and is capable of almost unlimited expansion when properly directed by the will. Communication may take place between persons in the same room or thousands of miles apart, and at any time. In a greater or lesser degree, magnetism, a vital force of a fine electrical nature, radiates from every human body. And since each individual has his own particular rate of vibration, he can be attuned to accordingly, much as you turn the dial of your radio to the frequency or wavelength of the desired station. For two minds in attunement are sending and receiving stations. I was not capable of attuning my mind to that of the spaceman, but for him having that understanding of the more subtle energies and the ability to use them, it was a simple thing to attune his mind to mine, that he might commune with me. And he goes on, he tells so many things in this book. A lot of people never have heard of Calvin Rowe, but they have heard of some of the ones he was in contact with during his life. Like, for one, George Van Tassel and Adamski and others of that generation that he was of. Anyway, it was so funny how I heard about Mr. Rowe. Was someone online said that in your area there lives a man who has had contact with our space brothers, and they gave me his name, and I looked it up, and lo and behold, he lived right across the street from the trailer park that I lived in at that time in a city called, I'm trying to think of the name. Can't think of it right now, but it was Hemet, California. Oh, San Jacinto. That's a little outside of Hemet. San Jacinto, California. And that's where I heard about him and learned of him. And his granddaughter, Aida Rowe, she gave me the book, and I typed it up. So I do have this book. And it's hard to find. I don't think you'll find it out there. And if you do, it's kind of expensive because there are not many copies of it. So if you want this book typed up, I can send it to you if I have your email address. That's all I need, and you can read this book. Let me see if I can find you another little part. Okay. We of earth talk of living the Christ life, but that is all. To live the Christ life means having a working knowledge of those operative laws as taught by Jesus. Mankind has had all of 2,000 years to seek, to learn, to try to understand, to actually live the Christ life. But they have chosen to remain laggards, allowing cosmic progression to outdistance them. Men refused Jesus then because they were not sufficiently tempered to understand him. And if he descended to earth today, he would not only be rejected, he would not recognize his teachings as given by our churches called Christian. Since his teachings are so simple and clear, he certainly would wonder how they could have become so changed, corrupted, and misunderstood. However, there are ministers and religious teachers who today have arrived at a much broader outlook on life, the body, mind, spirit, and the soul, and are better able to uplift themselves and humanity. The time has come when many are weary of strife and war, of stress and turmoil. Thousands of people are maturing rapidly, and in their search for truth and greater understanding, are receiving it in a different light, with receptive minds and hearts. More shall be ready to accept the coming world teacher and his message than were ready to accept Jesus. A lot of people, they doubt there's a coming world teacher, and I really don't know what I think about that myself. I would think it would be very necessary, because there are so many zillions of different beliefs held by so many different people. And it's like if we can't get together with some commonality, we're going to have a hard time progressing. I like to say, well, my religion is love. I believe in love in all its forms, but love coupled with wisdom. Love wisdom. That's my religion. And he spoke a lot in here because of what was happening with the atomic explosions in his day. And he talked a lot about how bad that was. And how our brothers from other planets had to send fireballs to kind of consume some of the pollution caused by the atomic, oh here it is. Because material science is stripped of social and spiritual science, because their efforts are made from effect to effect, whereas they could achieve greater success if they work from cause to effect, our scientists do not know how to take care of what they create, such as radiation fallout. As more and more radioactivity gathers high in our upper atmosphere, the danger lies in decomposition of all living matter. Of the green fireballs that have been observed throughout the world, one type, sent down from a gigantic space laboratory, has been used to neutralize and absorb concentrations of radiation created through our bomb experiments. Otherwise, radiation would be more prevalent in our atmosphere than it is. So they have been helping us all along. And some people, they like to think of aliens as monsters, and they don't have much good to think about them. And I wonder why they would be that way. Why they would think aliens are evil. For the simple fact that if they were, they would have done away with us a long time ago. But no, they love us. And there may be some bad ones, but I think they're kept in check. The bad ones can transform and be good. We have to send them good thoughts instead of just hating them. When you hate, you're not getting anything accomplished. When you say, "I'll just go to the depths of the pits of hell to something you deem to be a demon or something," you're not doing any good. Because energy can be transformed in everyone, everything, be it a person in a body or disembodied spirit. It's still energy in a way and can be transformed. But they say, I don't know how true it is, but science says energy cannot be created or destroyed. So we try to destroy it, and all we do is multiply it by trying to destroy it. And so what we have to do is transform it. And the only way you can do that is to give love, to send love to the enemy. And that's why Jesus said, love your enemy. this part, he's talking to one of the beings. When I asked if I might know what planet he came from, he merely replied, "Not at this time." It was only recently that it was confided to me that he and the brother who accompanied him on an ensuing visit are from a planet in our solar system, but that the planet is non-existent to the people of Earth since our astronomers have not as yet discovered it. One precise fact was revealed at this first meeting, and that is that even though our brothers are truthfully so much further advanced intellectually and spiritually, they do not express any feelings of superiority. All are equal. All are respected alike, regardless of race, color, creed, or education. All are one with the Creator. And although, in our sense of the word, they are gods, they would not have us think or speak or bow down to them as such. I marveled at his keen extrasensory perception, for although he had not accepted my invitation to come in, he was quite aware of what I had been reading at the time of his arrival, commented on the good literature you are reading, and he also commended me for keeping my faith. All too soon he announced, "I must go now, my dear brother." Entreatingly I spoke, "I hope to see you again soon, my brother." In a daze and with tears in my eyes, I turned away as he blended into the night. I did not even think of the darkened light bulb until some minutes after his departure, and I had returned to my room when it lit up again as though an unseen hand had turned it on. The light he had at his front door had been turned off by this being, and then he saw him and spoke to him at the door. But you can read all this. It's going to be in the description bar, and I hope you will enjoy it. And this is the Dove Lady, over and out for now.